it comes time to consider legal assistance for injury cases, you may not know exactly who to trust. The legal team at Lusk, Drasites in Tolisano, PA knows your concerns, and they are here today to listen. I'm so happy to welcome Joan Henry to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So great to have you on.
Thank you.
First, I just have to remind everybody, I am not an attorney, which is why we bring in the experts like yourself to answer questions for us. But kind of talk about your law firm and what it is that you guys really specialize in.
Sure. Our law firm, we started in Southwest Florida over 30 years ago. So we like to say that we're your neighbors. I'm also the attorney you can talk to. So any questions that clients have, prospective clients have, please feel free to give us a call because we're here for you. We're local. You'll see us in the grocery store. So we're here to serve our neighbors.
I think that makes such a huge difference. I mean, being that you're local, you really know the area, you know your clients, you guys have been around a long time, so, you know, this is not your first rodeo. You've kind of been there and done that. Estate planning is something really big, and I know that you wanted to focus on today, so we're going to cover a few different topics. But as far as estate planning, why is it important to know someone like yourself and have an attorney, you know, kind of on hand that they can call about things like that?
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Stephanie. Estate planning is one of my passions, and it's so important. Folks would think, well, I'm young, I'm not married, I don't have children, I don't need to worry about these documents, or I'm older, I have my life insurance in place, I don't need to worry about that. But you do need to worry about that. Everybody, an adult, needs to be concerned about their estate plan. The state of Florida steps in if you don't have certain documents in place, and they dictate
that can be pretty scary. I mean, because you're, instead of being passed on to maybe your kids or another family member or a loved one who maybe really could need whatever assistance that could be, then it ends up maybe going straight to the government at times, right?
It could be. And also, it's very important to know, a lot of folks, there's second marriages, there's children from prior marriages. So if you don't have an estate plan in place, you pass away, the law is going to say how much the spouse receives, how much your children receive.
And I think you made a good point when we were chatting earlier, is that just because you're married, don't assume that necessarily that is going to go to your spouse, right?
Exactly.
So what is the first step that somebody needs to take when it comes to estate planning?
Well, the first step is to evaluate what your assets are, evaluate your family members, your friends, charities that you want to leave bequests to, and write all of that down and come in. To come in and see me, it's a free consultation, not going to charge anything to talk about your estate plan, and it's just so important to think about that, take some time to think about those things. Also, a recent case that came out, Stephanie, was a young woman passed away. She had student loan debt. Her mother had co-signed on the student loan debt. Well, guess what?
Wow.
Now that became a debt of the mother. So it's very important we talk about all those issues and you evaluate those things before you come in and talk to an estate planning lawyer.
You also talk about something called a power of attorney. So for people who don't know what that is, explain that.
Sure. Power of attorney is so helpful. We're just talking about documents that come into play after you pass away, but while you're living, what if something happened and you were in an accident and you're laid up in the hospital? It may not be permanent, or maybe it is, but who's going to have access to your checkbook to pay your bills, to take care of finances? Maybe someone needs to get into your IRA, 401k, and take care of your financial affairs. It's so important to have those documents in place.
Joan, as far as power of attorney, estate planning, everything that we just covered, you know, at what point in your life, is there a certain age that you say people should come into your office and talk to you about it?
I really wish folks would come in when they're younger, just starting out in their career, buying a home, getting married, having children.
Once all the finances and things like that start to kick in and take place. A healthcare surrogate, why would somebody need that? Okay,
very important document as well. Maybe you're married. Maybe your spouse needs to go to the doctor's office and pick up lab work, pick up medical records.
Happens all the time.
Exactly, but we have HIPAA laws. Unless your spouse was on the phone giving the consent, the doctor's office or medical provider is not obligated to provide the documents. Actually, they can't under the HIPAA laws. So having this document in place allows a person or persons that you designate the authority to obtain your medical records and medical information.
All of these things play such an important role, and it kind of makes it come to mind too, as far, what about having a will? You know, should a young person think about that as well? You know, starting at whatever age, is it more important?
Absolutely. It's very important at any age. Again, once you're working, you have some assets, you're married, you have children. My goodness, what about having children and determining what if something happened to both parents? Who's going to raise those children?
Scary thought if you don't have something in place.
It really is.
We talk about, everything is done online these days. You could easily go online, hire an attorney. More than likely, it's going to be someone you're not familiar with if you're just Googling somebody. Why is it important to have somebody to come in and talk to face to face? What can you do differently?
Well, I'm going to ask someone questions that you're not going to get on the computer. Someone's not going to ask you about the children and have you thought about who's going to take care of the children? Are you going to make provisions? What about payouts to the children? If you have assets, do you want your children to receive 100% of those assets at one time? Maybe you want certain payouts over time. Maybe you want to think about making certain provisions to other family members, to charity. So those are all things that you need to consider.
Joan has a special offer that she would like to extend to our Morning Blend viewers. Joan, the first 10 callers will receive a free consultation with your firm, and they'll be able to receive a simple will for a discounted rate of $50. That is a $70 value, so certainly take advantage of that. All important things to think about. Joan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to have more on this segment on our website at fox4morningblend.com.
Thank you.
While many college graduates are struggling in a sluggish job market, physical therapist assistants are going straight to work. Up next, how you can start your career with Hodges University. That's next.